It's August 8th, 2023. It's been a while since I've given a tour of my garden here in the River Road area of Eugene, Oregon. And there's, of course, this time of year an awful lot going on, so I thought I'd just give a quick rundown of what I'm growing in the raised beds and what my plans are for the upcoming winter season. There are 6 raised beds here. They were here when I bought the house 4 years ago, but the wood was already kind of old, so in my second year here I replaced the wood, pulled up the old stuff with mushrooms growing out of it, and I added a third tier to the top. I also altered this last bed. I call it bed number 1. It was 8 by 4 feet just like the rest of them, but this clematis, this oriental clematis evergreen, was a very small plant, and it was planted in the far end of the raised bed, and its roots were taking it over, and I couldn't grow anything in that raised bed. So I cut the roots off. I built that very rough round planter with mortar and bricks that were in the yard, and made this one 4 by 4 foot. And I think still it has some roots invading from the clematis. Anyway, this is what I call raised bed number 1. I have been growing beets in here, but beets just do not do well in the spring here because of leaf miners, a little fly. So in here I have an Oregon Spring tomato, and it's doing well now, but when I was gone on tour, leading a tour here in Oregon in late May into early June, the beds did not get enough water, so there was a lot of stress in the plants when I got back. I've been watering it pretty heavily since then. And then these 3 are celeriac that I started from seed and planted here in mid-May, but I fear they also did not get enough water and are probably not forming tubers, pseudo-tubers, the big bulb like I'd like to. And then these 2 peppers are jalapeno early and they've a few peppers now, but they're not producing a huge amount, I think because of the water stress in this particular bed. So I've pulled up all the beets. My plan for this bed here is to grow Walla Walla sweets. They will grow all winter long. I've got some seed coming in the mail in a couple days, and they'll be ready to plant out here in September, late September, before I leave for my next tour. This is a dried bean called Santa Maria Pinquito. I had grown corn here last year, the Peruvian corn, and all winter I had some fava beans in here, but the fava beans didn't do so well. They kept it green and pliable. These beans were a gift from a client friend of mine who was on a tour with me in Colorado. And I did some research about how big they were going to get. Some dried beans are bushy, some are rather viney. Well, there was no good information online about how tall these were going to get. These vines are already, some of them, nearing 6 feet long. So I've just, in the past couple of weeks, have stuck in these bamboo stakes to give them something to grow on. And finally, the very first flowers are opening today here. So with luck, with a dry September and October, I may have to protect them. I might get some beans out of this. And my plans for this, after the beans are done in October, I will plant garlic in this bed. I have not planted any garlic in the raised beds. I've always had garlic growing out in the soil, but I'm going to try in the raised beds this winter. Raised bed number 3, I have peppers and tomatoes and ground cherries in here, and all but these 2 bell peppers here are plants that I started from seed indoors, and they're really doing fantastic. This is a Thai pepper ascent. It is just loaded, and it's about time to start making some Thai green curry paste. I need to go get some lemongrass, which I'm not growing this year. And this is a poblano, or pepper called Ancho Magnifico. And I think I will wait until these turn red. I might eat a few fresh. They're probably pretty spicy, but they're not supposed to be too spicy good for chile rellenos, and as a dried red pepper, they become ancho, which is great for making mole. And here are the two bell peppers. This California Wonder actually left a tag in here. One of them is red and one of them is yellow or orange. Don't know which is which because I've been eating them before they get ripe, but they're just super loaded. They're so heavy with fruit that they stopped flowering. Then here I had two ground cherries, and this soil was maybe fertilized a bit too much, and they got absolutely enormous and were shading everything out, including the tomatoes. So I'm actually cutting them out. I've got plans for this spot. I've got plans for a winter garden. I need to pick what's fallen. They're ripe when they fall into the ground, and they're super sweet. Yum. Sort of pineapple-y. This tomato is pink Berkeley tie-dye. It's got really cool stripes and it's a very flavorful tomato. And it's kind of strange. It's acting almost as if it's a determinate, and it's supposed to be indeterminate, so it's quite short, but I think maybe it's because it was shaded out and also didn't get much water. It had a faulty soaker hose. This is black plum, which is doing very nicely. I ate the first one yesterday. These are all ready to be picked. I think I'm waiting till a few more get ripe, and I'm going to do a batch. Something, tomato sauce, tomato paste, something like that, or canning them whole. I also had these fragrant sweet peas that volunteered from the past few years. I just left them in. One is growing out in here. Raised bed number 4. This monster is a pepper from seed I brought back with me from Mato Grosso, Brazil, which they call malagueta. Malagueta, apparently, we read up online, is originally a spice from Africa. It has nothing to do with peppers. And then once it's gotten to Brazil and been named malagueta for the spice, there are different kinds. They're really tiny ones. The same, very closely related to the same pepper than Western Africa they call piri piri. But these are bigger, they'll turn red, and they're apparently quite spicy. So I haven't had plans of what to do with it, but it's very nice. I got some carrots here. I don't remember which kind. It's probably Yaya or Musica. The purple basil, red Reuben. These two here are okra that I sort of planted on a whim. I put 6 seeds in and 3 of them survived. This tomato is black crim, and it is indeterminate. This is my staking system. I have a piece of rebar in the ground, about a 4-foot piece of rebar, and then I put this bamboo poles on the rebar, and then I drill a hole and put in these hose stakes through them, and it gives something to tie the tomatoes to. And I use this nylon, very stretchy nylon things that you can get at the store really cheap. This pepper is called rocoto in Peru. They call it locoto with an L in Bolivia. It's also called manzana in Mexico. It's apparently native to the Andes, but it's not known in the wild. Very long-lived plant, said to live up to 15 years, but it is not tolerant of freezes. So this plant in the ground here will probably die. I was hoping it would produce some fruits before the frost, but it's just now got its very first flower bud. Very slow. I actually have another one in a pot that's been blooming quite a bit just over there, but it is not setting fruit. So I'm not sure if they're self-fertile or not. And in the back here I have 2 melons. This one is orange silverware, which is a type of honeydew. And that one over there is Napoli, more of a cantaloupe. 3 of them sat right here from flowers in the raised bed. But the Napoli here, the orange silverware, is down under here, and I'm going to have to hook them up with another one much bigger. Wow, they're growing so fast right now. I'll show you in a minute what my melon bras. What else is in here? There's
Oh, this is a Tom Thumb lettuce, and I just harvested the lettuce over here, and I didn't take the roots out, so it's growing back. And I had some radishes in here which were nice, but this one didn't do much. I think I actually might have a little root there now that's edible. On the other side, I have a Thai basil and another red Reuben. This is a volunteer Cosmos Bright Lights, the orange Cosmos. All of the marigolds in here were from seed I scattered around the front new driveway bed, and they all germinated, some 5 or 6 in a small dense cluster. So I just dug up these little tiny seedlings when they only had a couple pairs of leaves and stuck them in here, and every single last one of them survived. Raised bed number 5 out of 6. This is where I grew onions, Patterson, on this half, and then over there in that back corner I grew shallots, and those were both very successful harvest plants that I started from seed in February or late January. And so now in here I have 4 rows of carrots, and I planted them in alphabetical order so I could remember what they are. Giants of Colmar right here, and then right here is Musica, yes, and then Scarlet Gnats, and then Yaya. And I got them in here on about August 5th, so I'm watering it 2 times a day at least, and that should be enough to get them started, so I have carrots all winter long. In the back end here I have melons. I think these are both the Athena. Yes, this is Athena, not one hybrid. Both the same thing, and they did really nice growing up this trellis that I made. I had this hog pen here that I cut into pieces so it leans up against the wall, and then I have these horizontal wires that I just strung along the fence. And I've had to train them a bit. You can see where I've tied them with string here. And here's one of the newer melons, but the original ones that are growing here are just fantastic. And these are these melon bras that I designed and knitted, just a square of a mesh fabric, and then I tie them up to the trellis so that there's not weight pulling on the stem and maybe breaking it up here or pulling the tendrils off. And that one over there just has I think just 1 melon, although this melon here might actually be from him. And I haven't decided what I'm going to put in that half over there. Maybe parsley root or parsnips, but I think I have to get rid of some of the marigolds. They're pretty, nothing's eating them. Some sources say you can plant marigolds near your vegetables to keep pests away, but I don't believe it. In fact, some of the very young marigolds that I had planted out front were being decimated by earwigs. Earwigs were just nibbling on the leaves all night long. And these peppers are shishito. So last year I grew a very close relative called padron, but the padrons were just too hot. Some of them weren't very hot. These are not hot at all. Oh, there's this cucumber beetle. Oh shoot, I missed it. Spotted cucumber beetle, a pest. Anyway, I've been eating lots of these. I just saute them in hot oil until they're blotchy black and soft, and then I sprinkle them with salt and black pepper. Oh, and here's another row of carrots that I sowed probably in late June. Whoops, I wanted to send that. This looks like it's, ooh, I'm not sure what that is. Might be the red one. I'll eat that. And then finally raised bed number 6, which is pretty full, but it's because some of the plants just get huge. It wasn't very full. I don't have that many plants in here. First, a curly parsley, which I started from seed in January, February, and I've been utilizing it a lot. It doesn't even look like it's beginning to flower, so I'm reluctant to pull it out. There was another one over there from the same seed pack, and it wasn't nearly as curly, and it was already starting to bolt, so I pulled it up to make room for the carrots. I can obviously get rid of some of these marigolds. They're pretty, but as I said, I don't think they actually deter any insects. We don't have a lot of insect pests in the vegetables here anyway, and very few pollinators are going to them.
especially compared to a lot of the other plants in the yard. These two are Listada de Gandia eggplants, which are, you know, not a typical Northwest plant because they like such warm climates, but these are doing extremely well here, and I think this one is actually ready to harvest. They're supposed to be done at 8 inches, and this one is 8 inches. I think I'll pick that today and maybe do something with dinner tonight. Really beautiful. This tomato on this side is another black crim. I've had 2 black crims in the raised beds, 1 black plum, 1 pink prickly tie-dye, and 1 sun gold, which I forgot to mention is in this plant here. This is a sun gold tomato. It's a cherry tomato with a unique flavor, very fruity, not very tomatoey, excellent for snacking. I just eat maybe 10 a day. This pepper on this side is called ají lima in Peru, and it has a few peppers. It's blooming heavily right now. It's a very elegant plant. I like the very open branching and small foliage. Where is a pepper? The peppers are really small. And here's one. And they're probably pretty spicy. Oh, here's one that's a little bit bigger. It's shaped like a shishito almost. Another Thai basil. These two are dandelions that I'm growing for the greens. I actually got the seed from Nichols Garden Nursery, so presumably it's a variety different from the garden weed. Slightly bitter flavor, but a nice addition to salads, like a lot of bitterness. Here's a weed. I'm constantly battling this spotted spurge. They bloom and set seed often before you even know that they're there. So I picked them and I put them in the garbage, and I've been picking billions of them this year. 2 more melons that I started from seed. This one is Sugar Cube. I think they're both Sugar Cube. This one has a couple over there, and then there's some hanging from their melon bras inside here. Oh my goodness, this one is new. I didn't know was there to put in its melon bra. Looking forward to eating those in a week or 2. And yeah, that is what's going on in the raised beds. I don't have plans for this particular raised bed when these are all done. I might just stick some fava beans in this one, although I can maybe in the back. My idea this winter was actually to put a fava bean here or there throughout the raised beds, except not in the middle of all the carrots. But instead of having just a solid raised bed full of fava beans, just one here and there might actually be beneficial. So that's the raised bed part of the garden. Maybe a second tour will be in order in a couple of days. A lot of flowers going on. I also, of course, have vegetables here and there throughout the yard. See you next time.